This is Standing Strong with Waylon Myers. Let's stand strong together. And I'm your co-host, Tyler Peters. This show gives you the courage and strength to talk about life's challenging struggles.
There is more bullying, depression, anxiety, crimes, and hate. It's breaking apart the strength we have in ourselves.
My name is Waylon Myers, and I'm interviewing people around the world alongside my co-host Tyler Peters as we bring more kindness and courage back into the world. Hello everyone, welcome back to Standing Strong with Waylon Myers. I was away for the past 2 months because I had personal things going on in my life. I am so excited to be back. We will be having the returning Colin A Borden on this episode of Standing Strong with Waylon Myers. Now at this time, I will be introducing you to the newest member on Standing Strong with Waylon Myers, my co-host, Tyler Peters. Welcome, Tyler. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Waylon. I am a commentator for CCW. I also co-host on the Rewind Wrestling Radio podcast and the Beyond the Ropes podcast. And more importantly, I'm getting to join you, the man, the myth, the legend, Waylon Myers, and on Standing Strong, and with special guest Colin A Borden. So I'm just honored and privileged to be with you, and I'm excited for this new venture. So thank you so much. I'm grateful to you, Waylon.
You are welcome, and I am grateful for you as well. And now, everyone, I am going to have Tyler Peter read today's inspirational quote.
Well, thank you again, Waylon. I drew from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's just quick and to the point. It reads like this: out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. And I know it's short and to the point, but it's so powerful. It really resonated with me, and I hope it resonated with the viewers.
Awesome. I love it. And now, everyone, my introduction for the returning of Colin A Borden. Colin A Borden is an actor and director, best known for his role in the Dhar Mann YouTube series. He has appeared in multiple episodes of Better Call Saul and starred in Breakland, Girl Finds Out She's Adopted, The Watching, and more. He co-wrote the multi-award-winning The Carrier, starring Rita Wilson and Anna Paquin, and has directed web series, short films, animation, and theater, all of which has garnered international awards. He loves his family and enjoys making a difference in other people's lives. So you see, Colin A Borden is changing lives one step at a time. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to Standing Strong with Waylon Myers, Colin A Borden.
Hey, how's it going?
And is doing okay. How are you doing, Colin?
I'm all the better for being here with you right now. Thank you very much for having me.
You are welcome. Now, at this time, you told me in your first episode that you were bullied over some things. Can you get into more information to that? And what advice did you follow to avoid the negativity of people's opinion about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, many of the I was a very short kid with very big ears. I'm not too short anymore, and my ears don't stick out quite as much as they did. But you know, a lot of kids made fun of that for years.
Mhm.
I remember very specifically. Um, I was in first grade, and a kid who I later became friends with, which is probably the nature of this sort of thing, just turning to me and saying, "You look like a monkey." And my little heart just like breaking and going home and talking to my mom about it, like the worst thing I could possibly have heard. And you know, as insults go, it's not too bad, but it just really hit me very hard. And I can remember she's standing at the sink. I'm standing next to her, looking way up, little first grader. And she says, "Well, you know, turn around and tell him he's got tiger toes." You know, and as insults go, that one's probably not all that harsh either, because it'd be kind of cool to have tiger toes, I think. Um, but you know, taking from that, is nobody gets to kind of tell you what you are. You are who you are. My daughter, the other day, we were hanging out with some friends. Where all the adult friends are hanging out over here, all the kid friends are hanging out over here. One kid comes over. Lily's upset. My daughter Lily's upset. Another kid called her selfish. Lily comes over. She's clearly upset. And I said, "Well, you know, what was going on?" They kind of explained the situation to me. I said, "Okay, in that situation, do you think you were being selfish?" Lily said, "No." And I said, "Then, then you know in your heart that you weren't being selfish. Uh, why are you going to let her words affect you like that? She doesn't get to do that. She doesn't get to make her words hurt you like that. You know who you are at your core, and it takes, you know, a very long time to become very comfortable with yourself. And when you're a little person, especially, and you are trying to figure out who you are, and a lot of other people have no problem expressing their opinion and telling you who they think you are, it can get really hard and really scary. Um, and I guess the note would be to just sort of persevere and know yourself. You're in here and you're in here. Everybody else is just a spectator, and you know that you're a good person. That, yeah, maybe your ears stick out. Yeah, maybe you're much shorter. They can call you Baby Colin for years. One day you'll be a little taller, you know, and that'll be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. What is your personal opinion on bullying and cyberbullying?
Well, I have a very poor opinion of it. um, the I think what cyberbullying is its own thing. Bullying in real life, in person, I think it comes down to people really just sort of trying to figure out their own place in the world. I have not done research on this. I am not anywhere near an expert, but just in my own, life and understanding of it, it's kind of going back to, nobody can tell you what you are, but I can certainly try and tell them what they are. And by telling them what they are, maybe I will figure it out for myself, and I'll kind of sort it out. So that desire to bully, to level opinions at people that maybe hasn't been asked for, I think does come from a place of trying to individuate and find yourself and figure out who you are. Lots of really mean kids become really wonderful adults.
Hmm.
It's entirely possible to not always be an unfriendly person. Um,
Right.
and so that's partially why, when you are on the receiving end of a bully, you kind of just have to take it with an enormous lump of salt. That what they're trying to do is sort themselves out, and if you have the confidence in yourself and you know who you are, then it doesn't, you can't let it affect you, and they can have these opinions, say these things, be mean, be rude, until they're blue in the face, until they kind of sort themselves out, because it's their problem. If they're coming to you and I'll just use my example, saying you look like a monkey, saying you got big ears, you're too short, you got horrible acne and stuff like that, that's really their problem. It's you are doing nothing to invite that sort of behavior. It's their problem, and you just have to understand that and go forward. And cyberbullying is even a stranger sort of effect, because you never see the reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get rude comments all the time, and they hit me, but the person who left it, they have no idea what it's done to me. They don't get to see my face fall when they, say the mean things to me. So that one I don't understand. I don't get that one at all. I think that really is probably just trying to be as mean as possible. I don't know. I think if you have ever cyberbullied anybody, you should just stop, because it's one of the worst things I think going on right now.
Yeah.
Is this mean for the sake of being mean, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Tyler, do you have anything to add to cyberbullying?
I'm in agreement with all of you, and with Colin. I've never experienced cyberbullying, so it wouldn't be fair for me to expound on it too much. But I mean, it's wrong. I definitely stand against any kind of bullying. I mean, insulting other people, because I think it's just a sign of insecurity on the bully part. I mean, there's no way to treat people like that. And I kind of, what you said about being short really related to me, because unfortunately I never got taller. I'm actually a short guy. I'm like 5'4", but I would get that. I'd look up to everybody. That was the running joke. Hey, I'm looking up to everybody. Literally, I'm that short. So it's hard for me to kind of add anything. You guys pretty much nailed it, and it was great. I mean, I've got some questions, but out of respect to you, Colin, our guest, and to the host, Waylon, I'm going to wait my turn. But
Tyler,
I'm stand against it. Yeah.
I love that. I'm looking up to everybody. You're owning what people are kind of leveling at you and turning it into your own beautiful, unique thing. You've got a great attitude about it.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I just tease people, and this is all I say. I didn't even was not funny enough to make it at late night, and definitely was not even funny enough to make it morning time. So there you go. So I'll throw it back to Waylon. Yeah.
Yep. Now, Colin, talking about depression and anxiety, what has helped you overcome it, and what advice would you give to people around the world?
I am a recovering claustrophobe. To make a really long story, probably too long anyway. I experienced a lot of like claustrophobia as a kid. Not really understanding what it was, but like I'd be in sort of a small space and just be overcome with this need to get out of it, not really knowing what it was. And then when I was in high school, I got stuck in an elevator, and that was pretty much like the final nail in the coffin, as it were. And I could never step on an elevator again. It got to the point where I couldn't watch elevators in movies. Like I would like start to experience that panic, and like hold my breath until those doors open. And then that sort of developed into sort of just a basic anxiety, a fear of the unknown. And the thought process was, you step into this small little box and you don't know how long you're going to be in there. The elevator that I got stuck on never stopped. It went all the way up to the top, and then went all the way back down, and then went all the way up to the top, and then went all the way back down, shaking, rattling the whole time. And it was like pushing all the buttons, trying to get up. Finally, I got off on the floor. But that sort of started manifesting itself into all other avenues of my life. My wife and I, for a long time, we were driving all over the country for various jobs. Mm-hmm. And it was a really happy time. We got to live in all sorts of different cities, see all different sorts of things. And then one day that claustrophobia, that anxiety manifested itself into driving. And I couldn't drive long distances without really freaking out. And we're talking a drive from Albuquerque to Los Angeles is 12 hours. And I was sat there, white-knuckled, like pounding the roof of the car, trying to catch my breath, breathing, freaking out. Finally, cut to a decade later, and she and I are caravanning, and I had a full-on, full-fledged panic attack. I lost control of my hands. I was feeling that freak out coming. Like, do you watch the show Doctor Who ever? For people who maybe do.
I haven't got to watch it yet.
I haven't.
he goes through a period called regeneration, and the way that they show that on the show right now is this beam of energy shoots out of his collar and covers his face, and then comes out of his fingertips. And that's I felt just like this white hot feeling all around my neck and my hands, and I lost control of them. I was on the phone with her. I dropped the phone. We're all freaking out now. I'm pulling off to the side of the road. I can't get any help. We go to the hospital, and I thought, well, this genuinely can't continue. It was already bad, but this can't continue. And the method that I kind of figured out for myself, I called it naming my fear. And I just started assigning numbers to it. So a 10 was what I experienced on the road to Santa Fe that made me go to the hospital, right? A 4 was kind of what I was like living my life at. A 1 would be perfectly fine. And all I would do is say that number out loud. I would turn to my wife if she were in the room. If she weren't, I would text her. I would just text her a number, 5. Just so that she was like that another human being was aware of what I was going through. She didn't need to say anything to me. She didn't need to help talk me down. It was just for myself, giving myself a number of where I was at. Cut to a couple years after that, I'm going to shoot my first Dhar Mann episode, and I got to go up to the 34th floor of a penthouse in downtown Los Angeles. And it was uncomfortable, but up we go, and I'm driving all over the place, and so it was just sort of that basic concept of you can, again, like you are yourself. You get to tell yourself what you are. You're in charge of yourself. All these intrusive thoughts, all these bigger questions or whatever that I was coming up with, I didn't want them to continue to define me. I know who I am. I have yet to perish on an elevator. When I drive, there are other human beings out there. I've never been absolutely 100% alone without any help or without anybody to turn to. So that's empirically wrong. If I'm in the car and I think to myself, oh gosh, I'm all alone. No, you're not. You're at a 5 right now. You can get back down to a 1. And I have, and I've kind of abandoned that system because I don't experience those feelings anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to kind of work through it using that method. And, maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but that's what kind of helped me kind of work through it. Owning it, naming it, moving through it.
Absolutely. I don't know how I will react if that has ever happened to me. What about you, Tyler, if you got stuck in an elevator?
I'm like Colin. I'm a little claustrophobic myself. I would definitely have some fear, but that was a great system. That was very interesting and something people could use, if it would help them. I think that's great advice. So I'm with you. There's a lot of phobias, and that's one of them. Heights was another one. I even to walk a hotel on a beach, if it was too high, I didn't want to even look down. I mean, I was that afraid of heights. I mean, I don't care that I'm having fun. That was always in my mind. Okay, I'm not going to look down. I mean, even to go to a football game, if we're up too high, I'm like, I can't even go to the bathroom. I'm so afraid. I'm like, I'm not leaving this seat. I'll just be honest. I'm being transparent. So,
and it's such a bummer because you don't want it to ruin your experience like this.
Oh, I know.
You want to go and watch the game from wherever. And you're up high. It's such a bummer.
And I've got better about it, but it's still some fear, though. And it's funny. I grew up in East Tennessee where there was mountains, but I'm afraid of heights. That's the comedy aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm afraid of heights too. I hate ladders. I even hate climbing up steps. Now, when I went to a WWE event in Pittsburgh, I was on the 19th floor and looking out the window and looking down at the bottom of the street. It's like people was ants, and I'm like, I'm not looking down. So I just step away from the window and sat on the couch.
There you go. You made it work. And then you got to experience being at the show.
Exactly.
Yep. Now, there's a lot of crime and hate going on in this world. Have you ever experienced it firsthand in real life and not just acting? What advice would you give to help people get help?
No, I don't know. nothing on an extreme scale. I've been burgled, and I got held up in an alleyway once. But you know, with situations like that, I mean, stuff is just stuff, and you're more important than the stuff that's in your pocket. So just be cool and get through it. But I don't know, on a larger scale of the really horrible things that are happening to other human beings in this world is shocking to me. I was talking to a friend the other day, and it's just, aren't we as a species evolved past a lot of these things? War. What is the point of war? What is the point of going into a school and trying to do as much damage as possible? I don't understand where that's coming from. I think that we, I don't want to get too too big here, but I think that we need to get back to a sense of community. A lot has been happening in the last several years, that I think is kind of just frayed at that this concept of community. Human beings, we can get our tribe can get as big as anything, but we are still a tribal sort of people. We still want to have little family units and know our neighbors, and there's something that has occurred where we are afraid right now to sort of experience that. We are a little afraid to go out and meet a neighbor, and therefore that neighbor, whether we mean to or not, becomes othered. Therefore, the neighbor next to them becomes even further othered, and we're just sort of losing that. And I don't know exactly how we get back to it. I am just an actor, but I can that's the sense that I'm getting, that we don't really see our fellow human beings anymore. We are not experiencing that. Not to get too political, but if somebody can walk into a school and gun down children, and it just is on the news cycle for a couple days, and then we don't do anything about it, we're really in trouble. And I don't know. I'm just a goofy actor. I don't have an answer for this, but I think if we can get back to humanity and find people, and something like this is a marvelous avenue toward that, standing strong, this idea that we are all human beings, and we all experience the same thing. Everybody gets some form of bullying in their lives. Everybody has trauma. Everybody has baggage that they're walking around with, and that you can bring to light that basic human element is astounding, and we need more of that. And Dhar Mann is helping with that. We just got to reconnect, and once we can do that, we can find that we're all people. We're all the same star stuff that bleeds and thinks and cries and loves. I think we'll get back to that.
Absolutely, I agree 100% with everything you show. It was sad to hear what happened with the gun, with the kids in Texas. Prayers to the family and the friends of those who was affected. Tyler, what do you have to say?
I couldn't agree more. I think it is a tragedy, and it's a shame that people think that's the answer. To gun down children, or anybody, regardless of what the situation is. I think you spoke about Dhar Mann, and thanks to Waylon for informing me and having a special guest like yourself, Mr. Borden, because the Dhar Mann got me emotional. I think it was the one about the homeless man that became the artist. Yeah, Richard Hutchins. And your character was Charlie, and it was amazing because you had those people making fun of him, but you took a chance and went up to him and didn't even know his history. He had wrote for all these celebrities, and when you talked about community, that really affected me. I told Waylon, I had tears in my eyes because we take all our materialistic things for granted, and you're right. It's not about the money. It's not about what we have. It's about, more importantly, who we are and how we treat people. And it shows me the good and humanity, those Dhar Mann episodes. And we can see that in real life from, like, Waylon Myers is an example. You're an example, and hopefully I am. We all strive to be better people, human beings, and that to me, we just got to make some changes. And that was going to actually answer another question: what could we do to make our society more positive than negative? Because too much and too many times on news, we're just seeing too many lives get affected, whether it's through loss or their lives are just changed by injury because of what people are doing. And it's not healthy. And I think we just got to bond together. We've got to find a solution. And it really bothers me, but I just kind of go to prayer, just my personal belief, just like Dhar Mann, you show faith in people to succeed, and we all can be a success story. We don't have to resort in these kind of crazy acts. There's no need for it. And that's all I was going to say. This conversation is just segueing perfectly, because that was going to be one of my questions, the homeless man. And then there was the other one about the father who couldn't afford the dress, even when times are getting tight and hard. It just meant something. Then she overheard the stories. I could see that playing in a real life scenario. So that's why it really touched me. So I'm going to throw it back to Waylon. It's his show. I don't want to take too many of the questions out of respect to him, but I want you to know that has impacted me. I'm going to share that with my family, the Dhar Mann episodes, because that's became a fan favorite to me because of those reasons.
I love that. But yeah, it's just about finding tiny little connections. Every single person that you talk to, you can connect on some level. That's the beauty of theater and motion pictures. That's why we go. Like, I've never been a Danish prince, but I can go and I can watch Hamlet and I can connect to that guy because it's a human being, and I can find those little strains of connection. And we can do that in our real life. We can step out the door of our homes right now and go and don't even divert from your usual path. Just on the way to the get your coffee, make eye contact with somebody, give a little smile, hold the door open for somebody, leave a nice little tip for the barista. All these little things to just make a little bit of just the tiniest little difference. Doesn't hurt your day. Doesn't wreck anything.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
Kindness goes a long way. Okay, Colin. If there's one thing you can tell people about standing strong and to stay true to themselves, what would it be?
To just, you hear this a lot, but you truly are special. There is genuinely only one of you in the world. Think about how infinite space is. How enormous our globe is. There's billions of people on this planet, and there's only one you. And that's incredible. Love that. Respect that. Honor that. And when you start to appreciate the little things for yourself, we can put ourselves down so easily, so quickly. Little things like you drop something. Idiot. Go down and pick it up. Everybody looking at that doesn't really think that much is happening there. But you've just called yourself an idiot. And somewhere in your wiring, it goes, oh, I'm an idiot. And that's going to come back, and that's going to start weighing on everything that you do. And it's going to start affecting it. And then it's going to affect your interpersonal relationships. So having respect for the infinitely improbable chance that you are here on this planet, in this universe, in this infinite expanse of everything. There's only one you. That is incredible. Honor that. Love that. You're going to make goofy mistakes. You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to get in fights with people. You're going to do all these foibles of humanity that come with the package. But my God, you're you. Love that. Mm-hmm. Honor that.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Tyler?
Yeah, it's powerful. Even just on those statements, something we all need to remind ourselves, because I've even, when you said calling yourself an idiot, I take those kind of words for granted, saying that, and I don't realize that's just no wonder depression creeps in and you have these issues because the more and more it's going to escalate, and that's not healthy. So I thank you for saying that. That just that's what I mean. I think everybody can relate to it.
Yeah.
Just being mindful of it. Again, sometimes you do stupid stuff. You know, it's going to happen. But just being mindful of how other people's words affect you, how your words affect you.
Absolutely. Anyone who is in the comments who is watching this episode, if you would like to ask a question for Colin to answer, go ahead and type in your questions in the comments, and then closer to the end of this interview, I will ask Colin your question. At this time, I am going to take it to Tyler Peters to ask some of his questions that he would like to ask.
Thank you, Waylon. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Mr. Borden, one of the things I wanted to ask, what's some advice for inspiring, actors, actresses looking to break out in Hollywood? What's something you would tell them?
Well, I have no idea how to break out in Hollywood, to begin with. If anybody does, I'd love the advice. But, to that end, it takes a lot of this business is built on the back of rejection and feeling sour about yourself, pretty much. There is only one part, theoretically, and hundreds of people are trying out for that. You might be asked, taken off the list purely because you're not tall enough, your hair's too dark, things that you are completely out of control that have nothing to do with your talent, with your work ethic, with your desire to have that part. Very unfortunately, you're just nixed off the list almost immediately because you're not matching a certain set of qualifications. Then following that, it gets down to maybe a question of talent. But even then, as somebody who's cast things before, it is very rarely about talent. It is almost mathematical why somebody gets cast in something. They just check all of the correct boxes, and then they just have just that little bit of something that brings that little bit of humanity to words on a page. And that guy did it just fine, and that guy did it just fine, that guy did it just fine. But I personally am just drawn to that person, and that's who gets the job, right? So anybody who's an aspiring actor should know that you are going to face a lot of that rejection endlessly, but that it really has nothing to do with you, and that you just have to kind of keep going. That is the main work of an actor, is perseverance. If you can plow through, the rewards will start to kind of come in. And and then beyond that, set yourself, what does that mean to be an actor? Because up until a few years ago, I don't know if I would have necessarily called myself a professional actor, but I was acting with a lot of regularity. I would go to do a play at community theater. I'd go do a short film or something like that. That's an actor. So if you define for yourself what is an actor to you, is that you can sustain yourself? Is that you can sustain a family? Is that you're winning awards? What does it mean? Is that you are on a stage? Is that you're reading words that are not yours? What is an actor to you? Define that for yourself. Then figure out, then realize that, in order to get that, it's going to just be punch after punch of no, 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 no. And do you have the wherewithal to kind of go through with that? Some people do, some people don't. If you don't, that's fine. Go and play at the community theater. They want you. They need you. You have a very particular voice that they want to see out there. Go do it, and just enjoy the heck out of it, because it is so much fun to act. It's so much fun to create. If you're not an actor or a director or a writer, find some avenue for creation. Get a YouTube show, but find some way to just be creative. Draw, sketch. I was looking to see if I have any drawings. I don't. I'm a horrible drawer. I love drawing. I'm a horrible piano player. I have a piano player right here on the other side of this wall. I can't walk into my house without tripping over the piano, essentially. It's like set right in the main entrance. And every day I just walk by and I plunk along it. I really can't. It's very hard to play an actual song, but every time I hit anywhere on that machine, it creates music. And that just fills my little heart a little bit. I think I got way off topic here, but
No, it's great.
it's about defining for yourself what you want and pushing through and figuring it out. As far as like the nuts and bolts of it, get training in your town, wherever you are in the world right now. There is an acting class, there is a community theater, and there is a community film world. I guarantee it. I did a little TikTok video about it. I was in the middle of Illinois over last summer in a very tiny town that had like maybe 3,000 people in it, and I walked into the community theater there, and they are everywhere. Everybody has performing, and they need you. So you go and you start learning there. You get your chops, and then when you have material, you have a nice resume. Then you make the next move, whatever that is to you, because you've already defined what you want in your acting life.
No, that was a fantastic explanation. And, something that you brought to our attention was I go back how a lot of even famous actors had faced that. Robert De Niro originally auditioned for Sonny, for James Caan's part, and eventually got the role in Godfather Part 2 as the younger Vito Corleone. So even Robert De Niro, as talented as he is, has faced rejection. So that's something that people can take away. I mean, like you said, it's going to come with its challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. Steven Spielberg has a stack this high of scripts that he wasn't able to get financing for. It's a very fickle world, and it's really hard to center yourself in that. I mean, it's not easy for me. And I'm theoretically doing it, but yeah, to center yourself in that knowledge that those final decisions really have nothing to do with the work that you put into it. As hard as that is to understand, you could have killed that audition. You're really great for that part, but that other person, there's just something in there. They just preferred that guy. That's really hard to comprehend, but that's the work of the actor.
Yeah, true.
Always do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Right.
But is there another question you would like to ask Tyler?
Yeah, I'll at least ask one more. Has there been a favorite film that you've either directed or acted in so far that you can just say, oh, that's one that really connected with me and that I just enjoy?
Yeah. Well, as far as a movie that I've directed, you can go to my YouTube page, Colin A Borden. I've got two on there that I'm really pretty proud of. One film called The Herd, and another film called Scary Finger. They, I really felt like the authorship of it is pretty clean. I from conception, I did not write either of those stories. Two really talented writers did, but I was able to say what I wanted to say. I was able to codify my vision into a pretty clean package, and I think it came out the other end as I would have liked, with surprises all along the way. But the work on that was really rewarding and fun on both of those movies. And unfortunately, one of the things that I'm the most proud of, maybe two of the things I'm most proud of, are plays, and those are long gone. These works that I've done in the theater, so rewarding. And these two plays, I was in one play where I played a Klingon. We were doing big Elizabethan dialogue dressed as Klingons. It was an incredible play. Another one, I was playing Philip Marlowe, the detective, had been put into the body of a mild-mannered accountant. So I'm playing both parts at the same time on stage. And at one point, Philip Marlowe got knocked out, so I'm walking around with half a body. It was, just incredible, wacky stuff that maybe I wouldn't be able to do on screen.
Yeah, that's awesome, and appreciate the advice and answers. And I know a lot of people watching Waylon's show will be intrigued by, hey, what if I want to make it in acting? And you said it doesn't have to be L.A. right away. It can be in your local town, like the theaters. And I've heard that from other podcasts like this one and other interviews. So it's not like I just knew about it, but since you had brought that up, it kind of reminded me going back to those interviews. So thank you for kind of re-educating us all.
Yeah, it's a marathon. Maybe one or two people in the history of acting have stepped out their door and Hollywood threw a script at them, but it's a long haul for everybody.
Absolutely. Looking at the comments now from the fans. Dusk Before Dawn wants to know, Colin, have you ever experienced cyberbullying?
Yeah, no, I think I've gotten off lucky for the most part, but I've gotten some pretty harsh comments. The other day, somebody wrote to me on Instagram with just the word "stupid," and I didn't really quite know what to do with that. So yeah, unfortunately, I've gotten comments. The overwhelming, and I will say this, the overwhelming responses did I get to anything is incredibly kind. People do not need to go out of their way to do that, and they do. They say nice things, and I love that. That feels really good. But and as I was saying earlier with the cyberbullying, I truly don't understand the desire for it, the want for it, the need for it in the world. So I just try to let it roll off my back. I'm never going to meet that person, and they're never going to meet me. And that little opinion that they have doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. You can't really let it get to you because it's not real. It's just words.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicola Sun wants to know, Colin, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Well, advice to my younger self: play more, maybe. I think I was kind of, I don't know, that might be kind of crummy advice, but to really kind of stretch your legs and do the crazier things that maybe you are afraid of doing, or that maybe didn't necessarily cross your mind. To just go out there and live life a little more and have bigger experiences. I think that because I didn't really, until I turned 18 and went to college. When I went to college, I went very far away from home. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that was the furthest. I had only ever traveled along the East Coast, and always with family. And suddenly, I found myself there, and that just rocketed me toward, myself. When people say, "Where are you from?" I like to say, like, "Well, I grew up in Philadelphia, but I kind of found myself in New Mexico, and I live in LA." But that experience of separation, of spreading my wings or whatever, really changed my kind of perception. If I had done something like that earlier, I would be interested to see what I would be doing right now. If I had taken more of those bigger chances.
Yeah. Brenda Davis would like to know, is Colin going to do any more acting for Dhar Mann or any other promotions?
With any luck. Yeah. I will. I hope to. The work is the work, and I like doing the work. I want more. I want to keep expanding my own personal chops and trying things. Dhar Mann has been incredible. My experience on that show, all I did was audition for what I thought was a one-off short film. Turns out it was part of a larger series, and they continued to call me back, and that really made me. I have a career now because of that. So yeah, when Dhar calls, I go, and but I do hope to continue to build beyond that, and it's happening again. It's happening slowly, maybe in ways that people looking back aren't necessarily seeing, but I'm committed to that journey and trying to persevere through that. And yeah, I am definitely in more Dhar Mann, and I will continue. And the next thing is coming, and it'll be awesome. And stay tuned. Thank you for that.
And then Paul says, Colin is such a stand-up guy. I can't wait to see him in other works.
This is Paul. He played my son. I love Paul.
Yeah.
He's a great musician. Go to Paul's TikTok. I don't know it off the top of my head. I think it's This Charming Paul. Go to his TikTok and watch his music. He's a great musician.
Awesome. We will. And everyone, make sure you go to his TikTok and give him a listen. Now, that's it for the fans' comment. Thank you for the viewers, and thank you for asking questions for Colin to answer. Now, Colin, how would you rate Standing Strong with Waylon Myers to the viewers? And what has your experience been like being on my show?
A+, man. I think the concept that you have here is brilliant and endless. From a business standpoint, that's gonna get you for a while here. That's great. And then from a human standpoint, it's brilliant. People like to listen to other human stories and understanding that we are all in this soup together, and we're all gonna get through it together. Other people have been down at the bottom. They stood strong. They got through it. You can too. So I think that message is brilliant. I love that you're gonna do lives now. I had such a ball on your first episode, and then you and I, you had questions that you knew you were already going to ask, and so you kind of popped them out to me, and then you and I spoke for an hour after our episode or something like that, and we had a great conversation, and now here you are continuing the show, opening it up a little bit more. We get to see a little bit more Waylon Myers, who you are, your conversation with people now. It's going to be, I can't wait to see where the show goes.
Thanks. And we also did a TikTok live, my first TikTok.
We did do a TikTok live.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
It was. Tyler.
Yes.
Is there any last things that you would like to say to Colin or would like to ask him?
I'll just say it's not really any questions. It was just a real privilege, and it's thanks to Waylon to get to talk to you, sir. You're extremely talented, and I think people can learn from your acting. I'm being serious because you don't want to see me act right now. I definitely need the training, but that's a joke on me. But I'm with you. I think Waylon's show it's inspired me. I mean, he has his story and your story and so many others. It's such an honor to be a part of his journey and to meet you, sir. It's been a real thrill.
No, I'm so happy that you're on the show now. I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Oh, thank you.
And just to think, I was gonna cred on my 7th episode, and then I didn't.
I love that.
Yep. Anyways, well, Colin, at this time, would you tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
I'm mainly on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. YouTube's a little slower going than I had planned, maybe, but all Colin A Borden. Google me. I'm out there.
Yep. All right, Colin. It was an honor to have you back on Standing Strong with Waylon Myers. Remember to always be well, honest, and inspiring as we stand strong together. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you, Tyler, for being a part of the 33rd episode of Standing Strong. Until next time, everyone, we wish you luck, and we hope you will come back and watch this show. God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you.